Hello students and welcome to today's session, welcome to today's class. In this short session, I'll be teaching you something very important that will help you walk away from a lot of errors when it comes to your English syllabus of the exam, and you'll be learning some very important tricks and strategies today to avoid a few common mistakes, plus you'll be able to brush up your grammatical knowledge from this little session that I have got for you today. So students, are you ready for this session? I want you all to let me know in the comments of this video whether this session was useful for you or not once you have watched this video till the end. Alright, so let's go ahead and discuss today's topic. So what I want to discuss with you today, students, is how to be able to solve some of the most common questions that keep popping up in the exam. And I want you to understand first what topic are we going to cover to be able to solve these questions. All right, the topic that I'm going to talk to you today is this: subject verb agreement. Right, this is one of the most important topics when it comes to the English grammatical portion of the syllabus. Now, before we go into subject verb agreement, there are a few things that we need to understand, namely subject and verb. And then we will understand the agreement part. And then I'll be showing you some of the MCQs that come in the exams, and I'll be showing you how to easily solve them. Now, first, let's understand what is a subject. All right? So the subject in a sentence is basically that particular word which acts as the focus point or the primary focal point or the main anchor of the sentence, which basically dictates what the verb will be. The verb that follows the subject, what will it be? It is dictated by the subject before it or the subject after it in some cases. Sometimes the verb is written first and then the subject is written, or sometimes for the most part, the subject is written first and then the verb is written. But basically the verb has to follow the subject, and the subject is the one that anchors the verb and ensures that the verb is being written in the correct form. Now, what is a subject? How do we identify a subject? For that, just refer to the idea of writing a letter, right? We have all at some point during our schooling life or during our school life or during our education have learned how to write a letter, right? Say for example, I write something like to XYZ, whoever you're writing the letter to, and then you write maybe perhaps the date, and then you write respected sir, ma'am, whatever, right? And then you write your body of the letter, and finally you sign it off as yours faithfully, etc., and then you write your name. This is the basic structure of a letter. Now there is one important element here, and that is the subject of the letter. And this one sentence or this one phrase that you will write here in the subject line basically tells you what this is all about. So everything that you have written in this entire letter is summed up in this subject line. This is the focal point. When somebody gets your letter, the first thing they will take a look at is what is this letter about. The subject line basically defines the entire letter for that person. Now see, similarly in a sentence, to identify the subject, all you need to do is focus on what is the focal point of the sentence. Say for example, I write something like the tree beside the river is swaying in the wind, right? So what is the focal point of this sentence? I have written a lot of words here. The tree beside the river is swaying in the wind. I have written this entire sentence here. But what is the main focus of this sentence? Why am I even writing this sentence in the first place? To talk about the tree. The tree is the most important element or focus of this sentence, right? And the verb that I'm writing here, the verb here is, see, this is the verb and this is also a verb. The verbs that I'm writing in this sentence is basically to talk about this tree. So these verbs are following this subject. Understood? This is what we call the subject of a sentence. Sometimes you may have one subject in a sentence, sometimes you may have more than one subject in a sentence. There may be multiple subjects in a sentence. All right. So now you understand what a subject is. The next thing we have to understand is what is a verb. All right. So now let's come to that. What a verb what is a verb? What a verb does in a sentence. So let's understand this in a way that helps us simplify this entire concept and understand it not just for the exam's purposes, but to clarify it with ourselves for the entirety of a lifetime once and for all. So let's take a look at verbs. Now, the most common thing that we learn when it comes to verbs is that they are action words or they are doing words, right? This is what we are taught. Most of us, this is what we learn in school. They are action words or they are doing words. Fine. Which basically means that we are talking about words that talk about action. Say, for example, right now I'm writing on the board. So the word write, or if you write it in the past tense, wrote, or if you write it maybe even as written, that is the past participle form of the word, or if you write in the present participle form, or that is the ing form, you can write it as writing. Either any of these four words, basically, it will give you the idea of writing. Basically, reading any of these four words, you will be able to imagine or visualize the action of writing, right? So these are action words, these are verbs. That's why we call them doing words, right? They are basically helping us express some form of action that we are doing. Now, to understand this, we can classify them this way, that there are certain words that perform the main action that a verb has to perform, and that is to talk about action, right? So we have main verbs. These are action words. All right. So this is the primary function of verbs, but verbs also have another function, and this is the part that we should understand. Verbs may not show you any action, but they might help you to complete your sentence or to give a sense of sentiment in the sentence, basically to explain what sentiment are you saying or writing the sentence in, or they might help you in some other ways, like to express the tense of the sentence. So verbs may not always show you an action or talk about an action, but they might help you in some other ways. This is basically the secondary function of a verb. All right. So we have taken a look at main verbs so far, and we have understood main verbs are words like run, ran, running, right? Any word in any form that basically talks about some kind of action is a main verb, right? These are all action words. These are all main verbs. This we understand. But what about this secondary function that I just talked about, the helping action of verbs that may not show any action, but they help us to complete or create our sentences? So these are called auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary, the word auxiliary basically means additional or extra. So auxiliary verbs, these are extra verbs, or you can also call them helping verbs. All right. Now, let's understand what these are. We have to further subdivide them into two categories to understand them properly. All right. So auxiliary verbs are of there are two subcategories here, right? 2A and 2B. We'll take a look at them that way. So the first category of auxiliary verbs, these are some of the most commonly used words in English, and they are called primary auxiliaries. All right. Everything that I'm teaching you right now will come into the picture when I discuss the MCQs a little while later. Just bear with me. So primary auxiliaries, you have three main primary auxiliaries in English. These three words: be, do, and have. All right. Let's understand this. Let's remember them properly. How do you remember these three words, be, do, have, as primary auxiliaries? It's simple. You can imagine or understand this as a philosophy of life in general. If you want to have anything in life, to have what you want to have, first you have to do the hard work that needs to be done, right? You want to have a Lamborghini, right? You want to have a Ferrari. Of course, you will have to work for it. It won't just one day magically appear in your garage, right? Now, if you want to do the work that you need to do to have what you want to have in life, to wake up every day, push yourself to work, push yourself to be motivated enough, driven enough to go chase your dreams. For that, to do in and day out, you have to be in the mindset to be able to do it every single day, right? Otherwise it'll just be like you had a surge of motivation one day, you worked hard for 3 or 4 days, and by the 5th day you were already drained out, you lost all motivation, and you just felt like giving up. So you can't do that, of course. So to be able to consistently do what you need to do to have what you want to have, you have to first be in the mindset that yes, I have to work hard, I have to work towards my dreams. So you have to be in the mindset to do what you have to do to have what you want to have, right? So be, do, have. It applies to life as well, right? So that's why we can remember this easily now. Now, understand this, when I say be, it includes all of the variations of the word be that we have in English, right? Be, been, and being. This also includes one other very commonly used word, that is the word am. This we use for ourselves, right? I am. This is a word very commonly used. So this also falls under the be family of verbs, all right? One other very common word that falls under this family is the word is. He is, she is, right? It is. We use this word very frequently. So if you're writing is, if you want to write it in the past tense, you will write was. He was, she was, right? So was is basically the past tense of is. If you want to write is in the plural form, you will write it as are. Instead of saying he is, you will say they are, right? So A-R-E-R is the plural form of is, and the same plural form of is, that is are, if you wanted to write in the past tense, you will write it as were, W-E-R-E, right? So these are all part of the be family of primary auxiliaries. And we can remember it easily by just remembering the word be and remembering these two words. Am is very easy to remember because we use it for ourselves, and is easy to remember because it is used very frequently, and the rest of them are just variations of the word is. Been and being are just variations of the word be itself, right? Easy. Do, of course the word do is there, plus all the other variations that you have heard of in your life, right? Do, did, does, done. All of these are part of the family of the do family, we call it the family of do, that is the primary auxiliary do. We also have doing, right? So this also comes under this family. Do, did, does, done, doing, all of them. Have. What are the variations of have you studied in English? Has, had, having, right? All of them come under this category. Have, has, had, and having. So if I ask you what are the primary auxiliaries in English, all of these that I have written down, these are the primary auxiliaries. But to remember them, we don't have to remember every single one. We just can boil them down to be, do, have. Clear? Now there's one final category left, and that is the second category of primary of auxiliary verbs, that is what we call modal auxiliaries. Now what are modal auxiliaries? Modal auxiliaries are those words which help you express the sentiment in which you are saying or writing a sentence. Say for example, to make it very simple to understand, I'll give you this example. If you say for example, you are at a door about to walk in and you are saying, I will come in, that feels like a threat. That almost feels like Arnold Schwarzenegger with his shotgun in the Terminator movie walking in, right? It feels like I will come in, you cannot stop me. So that feels like a threat. Now just change one word in the sentence. Instead of saying, I will come in, which feels like a vampire at the door. No, this actually feels like a ghost. If a vampire were there at the door, as per the mythology, they would say, may I come in? And if you allow them to come in, all hell's gonna break loose, right? So may I come in? Rest of the words are same. I come in, this is same, right? The only word that you have changed is this. Instead of writing will, you're writing may. The moment you say it this way, may I come in, the entire sentiment of the sentence changes. The entire mood of the sentence changes. Now it does not feel like a threat. It feels like you're asking for permission now. May I come in? It feels like a request now. So you can change the entire sentiment of a changing by changing these words. So what are these words? These are called modal verbs. They are not showing any action. So they are not main verbs. And they do not come under the category of be, do, have. So they are not primary auxiliaries, but they come under the category of modal verbs. Understood? These are your modal verbs in English. So what modal verbs do we have in English? We have these words. See. You have can, which shows ability. The opposite of can is cannot. I cannot do this. If I say that, that means I'm expressing the inability of mine by using the word cannot. If I use the word should, I'm talking about responsibility, right? I should do this. That means I'm talking about responsibility. If I say could, would. These are sometimes used to ask questions. Would you please tell me the time? Could you help me? Right? These express requests. Words like may, this also expresses a request, like may I come in. Might, this expresses possibility, like you can say it might rain. That means you are saying that there is a possibility that it might rain, but there is no certainty. You can say ought to, O-U-G-H-T, ought. This also means responsibility, right? This also talks about responsibility. Will, shall, all of these words show a different kind of sentiment, and they are all modal auxiliaries. So these are all your verbs. All right. Now, when it comes to subject verb agreement, because the topic today was not just verbs, the topic that we are discussing today is subject verb agreement, right? So when it comes to subject verb agreement, now let's come to the agreement part. We have understood what a subject is, we have understood what a verb is. Now let's understand what is this agreement that we are talking about. So you have understood that there are subjects in a sentence and subjects are followed by verbs. Now understand this, subjects and verbs must be in agreement. That is the rule that we have to study in English. Now what do you mean by agreement? Agreement means they have to align with each other, they have to be in harmony. Now when two things have to be, or two parties have to be in agreement, they can't just come up to each other and say that, hello, hey, hi, we are in agreement. There has to be some basis, some foundation upon which they are agreeing. So what are subject and verb agreeing upon? So when we say subject and verb in a sentence must agree, what we are trying to say is that a subject and sentence in a sentence, a subject and verb in a sentence must agree in terms of two things. Subject and verb must agree, right? Subject and verb must agree in terms of two things. What are these two things? Number one, they have to agree in terms of number, and number two, they have to agree in terms of person. All right? These two things. So what do I mean by number? By number, I mean singular and plural. Okay? And when I say person, I mean first person, second person, and third person. All right? This is very simple to understand because singular means one, anything more than one is plural. All right? When it comes to first, second, and third person, this you can understand by first person is basically the speaker of a sentence. If I just simplify give you a simple way to understand this. The person who's speaking or writing the sentence is the first person in the sentence. The second person is basically the person to whom the sentence is being said to, or the person who will read the sentence, right? So basically I can say the direct listener, to whom directly I'm addressing, who is being directly addressed, that is the direct listener. They are the second person. Third person, everything else will come under, everything else in the sentence that is a subject will come under third person. All right. If, say for example, in the sentence that I had taken as an example, the tree beside the river, the tree is the subject, right? This particular subject, is it the speaker or listener of the sentence? No, it's just the third person because it is some other topic other than the speaker and the listener. This tree is not me, this tree is not you, this tree is some other topic in the sentence. It's not the speaker or the listener, it's a third person topic. And in terms of number, is it a singular tree or is it multiple trees? It's tree, not trees, right? So it is singular. So every subject in a sentence can be broken down or can be analyzed in terms of number and person. In terms of number, we can classify them as either singular or plural. In terms of person, we can classify them as either first, second, or third person. Understood? And depending on the subject, in terms of number and person, the verb also has to be of the same number and person category. All right? So now understand this. To understand this easily, we can take a few examples. If you take first person singular, first person means the speaker, right? In singular terms, the first person singular can be exemplified as the word I. When you say I, you are talking about yourself, the speaker is talking about himself or herself, and the speaker is one person. So they are referring to themselves as I. This is first person, I'm writing it in short, first person and slash S. S means singular. All right. Now if I take first person plural, what about plural? then maybe the speaker is referring to himself and her or herself plus other people as well. All of them are speaking together. We are saying something. We is an example of first person plural topic, right? Now if you take first person, sorry, we have discussed both persons. If we take second person, if we take second person singular, right, we can refer to the second person, that is listener, as you. Also, if it is plural, if there are multiple people, still we can refer to them as you. So this is an example of second person singular and plural both. Now if I take third person and if I take singular, say for example, you can take a pronoun such as he, she, or it, right? These are all third person topics, plus they are singular in number. है ना? If you take third person but you take something plural, you can take an example such as the word they. This refers to people but in multiple numbers, in plural numbers. But they do not refer, this does not refer to the speaker or the listener, it refers to somebody else. So therefore, these are examples that we can take to now understand a few things. In case of main verbs, you have understood what main verbs are a few minutes ago. So in case of main verbs, you will see that I'll take an example here. In case of main verbs, with I, you can write I go, right? Say for example, I go to school. With we can write we go to work, we go to office, whatever. You go to school every day, something like that. Simple sentences, just to understand the topic. Also, this one also follows with go, right? With they also, you write go, they go to office. But now take a look at this one. With third person singular, you cannot write go, you have to write goes. He goes to school, she goes to school, right? So with third person singular, when it comes to main verbs, go is an action word. No, it's a main verb. Go is an action verb, right? It's a main verb. Go means to go somewhere. It's an action word. It tells you about an action. So in case of main verbs, you see, for all other subjects, I'm being able to write the normal regular form of the word. But when it comes to third person singular, I'm having to write the es or s form of the verb. Say for example, I wanted to write the word run, right? I cannot write it as run, even though for every other subject I can write it as run. I run, we run, you run, right? They run. But for he, she, or it, I have to write runs. So for third person singular, when it comes to main verbs, this is the rule you need to understand. Everything else, they follow a general common rule. But for third person singular, there is an exception in terms of main verbs. That is, with third person singular subjects, we write the s or es form of the main verb. S or es form of main verb with third person singular subjects. All right, understood? Now, what about modal verbs? What about modal verbs? With modal verbs, you will see that you do not have to follow any rule. Modal verbs agree with all subjects. All right, all modal verbs agree with all subjects. That means you take any modal verb and you take any subject, they will agree with every single one of them. Say for example, I can, you can, we can, they can. You can write can with any type of subject, regardless. Take any of these modal verbs. I'll take the example of might. You can write might with all of these subjects. I might, we might, you might, he might, she might, they might, right? They agree with all kinds of subjects. So for modal verbs, you don't need to remember any other rule specifically. All modal verbs agree with all subjects. That's all you need to understand. But there is one category of verbs left that we have to discuss when it comes to subject agreement rules, and that is these primary auxiliaries. We have not discussed how they agree with subjects. All right, so let's take a look at that and then we can go to the questions. So for primary auxiliaries, now we'll check subject verb agreement rules for primary auxiliary verbs. All right. So we can take a look at it like this. We can make a chart to make the work easier for us. So I'm writing basically the number and person here in this chart, all right? So here I'm writing person, all right, and this way I'm writing the number. Okay, singular, plural, first, second, third person. So for each of the box you get a combination. First person singular, that means the something like the word I. First person plural, something like the word we. Second person, we use the example word you, right? We are using example pronouns. With third person singular, you can write he, she, or it, right? With third person plural, we can take the example word they. All right. Now, we will take the primary auxiliary words and we'll test them for each of them. With I can write I am, I have, right? I can write I do, I did. I cannot write I does. I cannot write I done. I cannot write done directly after the word I, right? I can write I was. I can write I had. I can also write I were in a very particular scenario if I'm talking about something hypothetical, something imaginary, like if I were Batman, right? I'm not Batman, or am I? So, but if I write it as an imaginary thing, if I were Batman, then I can write were. Only in that situation when I'm talking about imaginary things can I write I were. Otherwise, I cannot write the word were with I, all right? And rest of the words we can write. But with I cannot write I does, I cannot write I has, right? I cannot write I done, I doing. So those words I have not written here. That means these are the primary auxiliary verbs that agree with first person singular subjects. The rest of them do not agree with first person singular subjects. Those we cannot write with first person singular subjects. All right. Similarly, with you, we can write you are, you have, you do, you did, you were, right? What else can we write? You had. These are the ones we can write with you. The rest we can't write. With he, she, or it, now this gets interesting. Here you cannot write he are, he, she are. You have to write he is, she is. You cannot write he have, she have. You have to write he has or she has, right? You cannot write he do. You have to write he does or she does. And rest of them, I think, pretty much similar. Was can be written here, where cannot be written here, and we can write had, right? With we are, we were, we do, we did, we have, we had, all right? Yeah, pretty much these are the ones you can write here. This will be same, ditto. With they, you can write they are, past tense, they were, they have, they had, they do, they did. These are the ones we can write. All right. So for primary auxiliaries, this is the chart that we can always use to understand what the subject argument rules are for different primary auxiliary verbs in terms of number and person. Clear? So now we have understood subject argument on a foundational level. What subject, what is a subject, what is a verb? We now know how to understand what a subject is. We now know how to remember what verbs are, all their classifications in a simple way, right? We understand what subject argument rule is in English, that number and person, what number and person is. We understand how main verbs align with the subject argument rule, how modal verbs align with the subject argument rule, and how primary auxiliary verbs align with the subject argument rule. Covered, done, right? Now let's take a look at a few questions and you can thank me later. So, coming to a few questions. Take a look at this question now. This is something that you will see in the exam. These are the kind of things that you will see in the exam. So, I'll give you a few tricks here. Now come the tricks. All right. How to be able to solve these questions really quickly. So, the first question is asking you this. It's a fill in the blank question. Each of the suspected men dash arrested by the police at once, right? So, this, we are talking about these men, right? True. So this looks like a plural word, right? But here, the subject of the sentence, we are going to write a verb here. And the verb has to agree with the subject, right? The verb has to agree with the subject. So whatever verb we are going to write, first we have to identify what the subject is, whether it is a singular subject or a plural subject, and whether it is a first, second, or third person subject, right? So now we have to understand that when we are writing a sentence with the word each in front of it, even though you are writing something plural here, the subject is not plural. Understand this now. This is what I want you to learn here. If you are starting a sentence with each or the word every, each or every, right? Then what happens is, whatever you are saying in the sentence, whatever information you are providing in the sentence, it is being distributed among every single person or thing that you are talking about on an individual singular level. That means if I say, I bought gifts for every one of you, that means if there are 100 of you, 100 number of people, but I have bought gifts and I have bought gifts for every single one of you, that means I have bought 100 gifts that I'm going to give to every single one of you, one by one, singularly, on an individual level. So when we write each or every, do you understand why things become singular? Because whatever you're saying is getting distributed to every single person or thing that you're mentioning. So even though I'm talking about multiple suspected men, the arrest has been performed, the action of arresting has been performed upon every single one of them individually on a singular level. That is being understood by the word each. So whenever a sentence starts with each or every, doesn't matter what word is coming here, singular or plural, we will treat it as the entire thing as singular. So here my subject is basically, it's a third person, right? Why? Because the suspected men, they are not the speaker or the listener of this sentence. They are just something we have mentioned in the sentence. So it is third person and they are singular in number. So I'm writing in short third P, that is third person slash S. S means singular. So I have got a third person singular subject. So which of these agree with third person singular? You tell me. We have just figured it out here, right? With third person singular, we can write is, has, does, did, was, had. So which one will be correct? We cannot write have and are, right? These two do not belong with third person singular. So therefore, these two options can be eliminated. Each of the suspected men had arrested. If you write the suspected men had arrested, the meaning falls apart. The men did not arrest the police arrested the men. So therefore, we cannot write had. The correct answer will be has been arrested. All right. This is the correct one. Has can be applied with third person singular subjects. All right. Clear? Next one, next trick. Either the mother or the daughter dash made this pudding. In this kind of a situation, you will see that there are two subjects in the sentence. We are talking about the mother plus the focus is also on the daughter. Both of these are receiving equal focus in the sentence. So we want to talk about both the mother and the daughter, right? Now, in these kind of situations, you will see that when you are writing either this or that, you are mentioning two subjects. So I could have also written the daughters, right? What then? Now you have a singular subject, you also have a plural subject. Then you will be writing only one verb for both of them. How will you make the verb agree with both singular and plural at the same time? Right? That becomes a trick. So we have to understand that there is a rule for this in English. So what we do is, whenever we have a sentence which is of the form either A or B, or we have a sentence of the form neither A nor B, right? Or simply if we have something like A or B or A nor B, where A and B are both subjects, right? In these kind of scenarios, whenever we have to write the verb, when we write the verb, it will agree with the subject closest to it, that is with B, not with A. All right, the verb will always agree with the one closest to it. This is what we call the nearby rule. This is also referred to as the proximity rule or the proximity concord sometimes. You can just simply refer to it as the nearby rule. This applies only in these scenarios, all right, when the sentence is of this form, A or B, A nor B, ya fir either A or B, neither A nor B. In these kind of scenarios, we follow the nearby rule, all right. Only in these scenarios, we apply this nearby rule. So here you see that either the mother or the daughter, right? Whatever you write here just needs to agree with this one. So what is this? This is a third person daughter, singular, right? Singular topic. So the verb needs to be a third person singular verb. Which one will be applicable here? with third person singular, we cannot write have, we cannot write were, right? We can write has and was, but out of these two, either the mother or the daughter was made this pudding. That does not make sense. The sentence does not make sense that way. The correct answer here is either the mother or the daughter has made the pudding. Clear? Understood? One more. The chief along with his family dash involved. Take a look at this sentence. The chief along with his family. What do you think is the subject of this sentence? Is or are the subject or subjects of this sentence? Which word here is the subject, or which words here are the subject? So the sentence is saying the chief along with his family. Are we talking about the chief and his family? No, we are not talking about both the chief and his family. We are only talking about the chief. When we say along with or together with, we are just providing additional information that who did the chief go with, or who is the chief involved with, right? So it is just additional information. There, we are not adding a new subject here. So this word family is not a subject in the sentence. The only subject in the sentence is this, the chief, right? Along with his family is basically information about him only, about the chief only. So therefore, this is the only subject in the sentence. So therefore, this is a third person, because the chief is not the speaker or the listener. It's just somebody we have mentioned in the sentence. It's the third person, and in number it is singular. So for third person singular, which of these subjects would be correct? We cannot write where or are or have for third person topics, right? How do I know that? Because I have checked here. We cannot write third person singular. We cannot write have or are or where, right? These do not belong here. But we can write was. So therefore, what should be my answer? Okay, was can be written. We can also write is, right, in the present tense. So the answer is. So here my answer will be option A, is. Clear? Understood? But when it becomes of this type, you and he, right? In this kind of a scenario, we are mentioning this person, and we are referring to both of them. We are not saying along with or together with. We are saying he and he. So now I have two people in the sentence, two subjects in the sentence. Both of them are receiving equal importance. Both of them are the subjects to the sentence. And since I have more than one subject in my sentence, that means I have plural subjects in my sentence, right? So yes, I have a second person and a third person topic, but ultimately I need a plural verb. Why? Because the topic has become plural. The subjects are more than one now, plural. So therefore I cannot write is, I cannot write both, because you and he, that means both, right? Both birds of the same feather. We don't speak like that, you and he both. If I'm saying you and he, that means I'm referring to two people, that means both. I can say both of you, but I cannot say you and he both, right? Now, had birds. No, I'm not saying they had birds, that they possessed birds. That's not what I'm going for. What I'm saying is that both of them have similar traits. That means they are birds of the same feather. Are is an auxiliary verb that you can use with third person plural subjects and also with second person plural subjects. So here are is the word that is applicable, right? One last question for you guys today. I'll show you one last trick here. Neither of the two dash willing to apologize. In this kind of a scenario, which of these words would be correct? Which one do you think would be correct? These are very common questions in the exam, students. These are the kind of questions that you will see in the exam. So which one of these options would be correct? See, if I have to write neither of the two, what does this mean? Even if I'm saying the two, it sounds like it's plural, right? But when I'm saying neither of the two, it basically means, say for example, there are two people, person A and person B. They said something or some misunderstanding happened and there needs to be an apology, but neither one of them is backing down. That means when it comes to apologizing, this person is also not apologizing. This person is also not apologizing. So the concept of not apologizing applies to both of them on an individual level, on a singular level. That means this sentence is referring to whatever we are saying in a singular way, in a singular manner. All right. So when we say neither of the two, this is always treated as this is third person, because we are referring to two other people, right? Not the speaker or the listener. So third person. But since we are saying neither of the two, this is being referred to as singular. Neither one of them. Neither singular one. All right. So it becomes singular. So therefore, which word will we use here? We cannot write where, are, or have. These are used for third person plural subjects. We will write was. Neither one of the two was willing to apologize. Understood? So I have taught you in this short session today about some very important things. I've taught you some really important things today. These are the concepts that will keep popping up in the exam over and over again through various kinds of questions, through fill in the blank questions, through error detection questions, etc. What you need to understand is we have studied subject, we have studied verb, we have studied the agreement rules between subject and verb. I have shown you how different kinds of verbs have to agree with different kinds of subjects, different number and person combinations of subjects. Keep those things in mind. And I have shown you 5 questions here today pertaining to the exam. And I have taught you what you need to understand while analyzing these questions to be able to apply these subject-verb rule, subject agreement rules correctly in all of these situations. Do not forget these situations that I have presented in the questions today, and definitely make sure that you have understood these concepts that we have discussed today. All right. If you have any queries from whatever you watched in the session today, make sure you ask in the comments. Make sure you let me know in the comments, and I will definitely respond to your comments and clear your doubts. This in particular is very important. You need to remember this and go through these as well. This is the subject agreement rule, and go through these, all right, how the different categories of verbs agree with different kinds of subjects. All right, keep these things in mind, and I will be seeing you in one of the next videos that I'll be doing for you guys. And if you want to join our course, students, do not miss the course that we have for you on our app. The link for the course will be provided for you in the description box below the video. Make sure you check out the course if you're looking for a complete solution for your preparation right before the exam. All right. Also, students, I'll be providing my Telegram group link in the comment section. The Telegram group is open for all students. I provide free material for you guys to study and revise with over on my Telegram group. I'll be providing this whatever I have discussed on the board today, these notes for you on Telegram as well. You can go through them and you can join the Telegram group using the link given in the comment section. And for the course, make sure you check the link in the comment section. If you liked the session today, make sure you hit the like button, and let me know in the comments what do you think about the video, what do you think about the class, and if you want any other topics to be discussed in one of the upcoming classes. And if you have not shared the video, if you know somebody who's preparing for the exam up ahead and who would be benefited by this class, definitely share the video with them. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and stay tuned for the upcoming classes. I'll be seeing you in the next class. This is me, Sumbham Sir, signing off for today. I'll be seeing you soon in one of the upcoming classes. Take care. See you soon.